Totally accurate battle simulator. Tabs. What can you say about this beautiful game? The sky's the limit. As long as you let your imagination run wild, you can do just about anything. Take tanks up against hobbits. You can have Wild West cowboys going up against pirates with flintlocks and cannons and bombs and all the like. You can literally the world's your oyster. You can even have ninjas and samurais going up against the forces of hell. But of all the factions in this game, what if we took our basic little tribal faction and took them all up? KUB Tabs is only the tribal faction. Part 1. So, we're gonna go over the rules for this run. Only the tribal faction, the Raptor, and Raptor Rider are allowed from the secret faction because they're found on the tribal maps. Unlock all units is enabled to access the faction's allowed secret units, and no mod units or debug tools are allowed to prevent any cheating. Let's get into it. We are going over. We start in the introduction campaign. All of them goes well and is just starting off with basic clubbers. Just taking basic clubs to them, matching them with what they have. All goes well. We have spear throwers, which we have protectors. The protectors with their shields are gonna be able to mostly negate their spears being thrown at us, unless they get clobbered by a whole bunch of planks of wood with holes in them. Things seem to be going well here. It goes well. Sticks and stones, though. We have stoners and clubbers going up against us. So what do? I throw spearmen at them with some clubbers, basically outraging the stoners. The stoners are really not much in this game. I don't really find a use for them too much, but sometimes they have their moments in this game. I think we managed to shish kebab these guys, and we move on to the next one. What I do want to say about this, as we go over this little journey I've taken through, is I wanted to see about this, see if just how much you can get through with just the tribal faction, and if you're wondering why the Raptors and Raptor Riders are allowed in this, I allow them because, like I said over in the rules, the Raptors are allowed, and the Raptor Riders, because they're found on the tribal faction maps, so I consider them to be part of the tribal faction. There are campaigns later on in this game that use secret units to their advantage, so I figure, why should they be allowed to use secret units when I can't? Literally, when I use the secret units, I'm only just using the Raptors and Raptor Riders. I don't use the cheerleaders because I think that's a little bit cheesy. So, thankfully, these couple levels, have a couple hiccups, but with the bone mages here, sometimes you have to reposition them and to get their maximum effectiveness, because if you have them lined up all in a row, they'll just kind of blow away their bone and their spike attacks, and then suddenly you're getting defeated here. One thing that is critical about tabs is that, well, sometimes just rearranging your units can make all the difference in a battle. This battle here, though, it's like you got some hay balers and some potion sellers. Thankfully, we have the mammoth, who I'll call Snuffy here because I've watched Captain Sauce play totally accurate battle simulators, and he calls the mammoth Snuffy, so I feel it's only fitting. Thankfully, he just takes care of that nice and easily. Coming up on the next level here, once again, more more hay balers and looks like some farmers, so it should be pretty easy job for the bone mages again. Bone mages, I will say, they are some of the most powerful units against like big crowds of melee, especially when you kind of place them right. And here we see the Raptors come in. Yeah, sometimes when you place them down, they start bouncing and get jiggly. They're very squirrely. They are, thankfully, come down to one last Raptor, but managed to actually take him out. And I will say, sometimes I do actually use unit possession because sometimes you just gotta take the wheel. I don't view that as cheating or anything because when you possess the unit, it's not exactly the best. You trust me when I say you kind of can't be precise. Thankfully, bone mages take out these squires nice and easily. Thankfully, just make it nice and simple. Got more of the protectors here. The protector is a unit that I don't really use too much throughout this first part of all this run through tabs and all that. And I do want to address while I go over while the footage plays here. Later on in the campaigns, going through this, basically for the stuff like the Renaissance, the Spooky, and all those like for the faction-specific campaigns, I will only go through the first half of those campaigns if I'm not using that specific faction. So basically, the reason being is, like, even though I'm technically leaving a lot of campaign levels out, to me, it doesn't make sense to go through the second half of the of those campaigns as that is meant for you to go through with that specific faction. Besides, like, with this, the introduction and the adventure campaign that are both shown in this video, you already kind of face against the factions multiple times and everything like that. It just kind of, it doesn't make sense to me. And I will say, like, the reason why this is only the first part of this, kind of, we'll say, like, I guess you could say series, I guess. I only hope this is going to be a 2 or 3-parter, because it's really because of the adventure campaign. The adventure campaign is the longest campaign in the game. It is 62 missions. I was kind of confusing this with the old challenge campaign. I thought that was the longest one of the campaign, but no. This is by far the longest campaign. 62 missions is not an easy task, and just to get through the introduction and the adventure campaign, that took me about 2 hours and 45 minutes worth of going through and trying to beat them with only the tribal faction, and it was not fun. I did want to say, this is basically what you're seeing here, the Frozen Snuffy. This was like the world's slowest battle to finish. We did wind up winning this one, but it was incredibly slow. A lot of this footage is going to be like on 8 times speed because it's just me placing the units and then slowing it down for you guys to like regular speed for the old ending of the battle. There is a lot of defeats in this, and I will say, we win this battle and thankfully managed to take out the Jarl. The Jarl becomes kind of a pain in the butt later on in the campaign. I will say now it's like the reason why he kind of becomes a pain in the butt and he can be so frustrating is the Jarl has an ability that makes where once you drop him to a certain point of health, he gets a brief stage of immunity. So it's kind of one of those you have to. I don't remember if he can be one-shotted with like a blister or something like that, but he becomes kind of a pain. You kind of have to have like units to hold him off and all that stuff. We are kind of coming up on one of these other battles. This is where I kind of take control, try and take him out, and then actually do manage to spear him. The spear thrower is actually one of the most powerful units in the game, I'd say, for ranged. It's actually surprising. I remember seeing in a totally accurate battle simulator video, tabs, sorry, I'm from Captain Sauce, like where someone said like, the spear thrower is actually like can actually take out a Reaper with a couple of them. We just got done with the introduction campaign. It wasn't too bad. And he did like 5 spear throwers, and they were actually able to take out a Reaper. And it's like the spear thrower actually does really high damage, and being only 120 gold a pop, he actually is pretty good for a lot of situations where you can just basically have just spears hooked at everybody. But I digress. We're going into the adventure campaign, and so we have more bone mages coming through. I usually like to kind of try to have at least some cannon fodder, at least in terms of colors. Got more bone mages, and we got Snuffy coming around for backup, hopefully. And sometimes Snuffy doesn't really do too much in terms of actual support. Well, sometimes he's just there as a mascot. Now, for the Final Destination campaigns, this is basically kind of meant to be like a 1v1 unit, 1v1 of a specific unit. This first one is basically take on 2 halflings, and I will of course show like fail tips of levels and kind of in the fast forwarding of the footage, like just so like it doesn't fluff it out. I can only record up to we'll do like an hour-long video at most because I'm on a PlayStation 5. And it's so that's why a lot of this is sped up. Otherwise, like if I could, I'd probably make like an hour long, like maybe an hour and a half long video. This level here is a very easy level. You got bards just they literally just run off the edge, and it's kind of hilarious. Kind of a meme level. Then you got the army here with mostly bone mages and just some protectors. As you saw, like pretty much a nice little easy one. Like just had to make sure that I placed a clubber to kind of lure some of the bone mage attacks. Now we got clubber versus clubber. Now this one you might say is kind of cheesy. I should have redone this, but that clubber just fell over and decided to keel over and pass out. So it's just I'm gonna take the win, like when I can. It's just sometimes you gotta learn to take a bone. This level here with the hobbits. I'll call them hobbits, because that's pretty much what they are. This was a real pain. A lot of them, and I thought like I tried multiple configurations of like units trying to utilize bone mages, spear throwers, and all that. Maybe I should have used a mammoth in this time, It's just one of those things. But I wound up taking possession here of this last spear thrower. I just kind of roamed a bit, and finally managed to pluck him. These hobbits can be really annoying with their jumping. This one I believe is mostly, can't remember if it was like the like all the leaping units, but this one kind of troubled me a little bit. And then I just kind of did bone mages, kind of spaced them out. That's one thing with bone mages I will kind of emphasize with them. Just make sure that you kind of space them out if there's a ton of like kind of a big crowd of melee like that, because they won't always all bunch up, and sometimes the bone mage will just kind of miss. This one, just kind of had to try a little bit with like mammoth and spear throwers, trying to throw them in. Like the Jarls once again becoming a bit of a pain. Threw in some, decided to unleash the Raptors once again, make sure to actually help them out. The Raptors actually are pretty good units in most cases, but I kind of want to avoid using just entirely Raptor spam for every single level. It's a thing, had to kind of take out confirm here for that Final Destination level. The captains, the chieftains, that's what their name is. The chieftain is actually a surprising unit. It came in useful for several situations later on, like, he's actually a pretty good damage dealer, all things considered, and only for 400 gold, yo, not too bad. The, of course, we had to take out the harvesters there, and we got honoring their champion. This was just Snuffy and Bone Mages again, just kind of taking them all out. I think Snuffy actually, it was either Snuffy or a Bone Mage that managed to take out the last one. He's, yeah, like, Snuffy, another excellent one. This, this final destination here with the, I think it's the Sarissa, if I remember right. I just took a spear thrower to him, and they got their pulse stuck, on that. And I know what some people might say with, final destination levels, like, oh, you're supposed to 1v1 them on the bar and everything like that with the, like on that little pillar that they set the unit on top of. To be honest, like, if the game is going to allow me to place the unit anywhere on my half of the map, it's fair game. It's kind of was like, I'm not trying to play this, I'm trying to see if this is possible with the tribal faction only. So, of course, let the Raptors out once again. This was just all healers and a squire. Kind of another meme level where it's just like so incredibly easy to defeat and probably defeat it with a pack of halflings. So, of course, we have a level here with the king, and the jarl. The king can be another incredibly annoying unit. Thankfully, that jarl goes down, but the king is surprisingly tanky. If you, especially against melee units, like he's really good about it. We had another final destination here with the squire, and of course won that fairly easily. But like I was saying though, with the king, he's pretty tanky, surprisingly. But can usually like with spear throwers, like you just huck enough spears at him, especially if you have a good pack of them, they can take care of it. Another bard level, this was pretty easy overall. Now for this catapult level, this is really not that hard of a level to take on. I unleashed the Raptor Riders here for this one. But it's like pretty much what you want to do with this one is just play some cannon fodder units, just like some very cheap units out, and let them have, and then let the catapults just waste their shots on them, because they do splash damage and can be devastating. Now with this level, this was pretty much a bunch of bone mages and a bunch of spear throwers. This was basically a whole tribal faction hiding in a cave, and wound up taking them out fairly easily. It was just no big deal. You're basically just throwing in a giant funnel like that and asking me not to use something with a lot of splash damage there. Now we move on to the old hoplite, which wasn't too bad here. It was actually kind of hard because putting up 2 clubbers against him, and the hoplite is actually a pretty decent unit. It's like fairly expensive as well. I think I managed to get him with a spear thrower here. I missed that with my control, but he managed to just pass out. So this one was another kind of level of where there's actually a bit of trickery going on. There was some units hiding in the trees. This one was actually a kind of funny ending because it had a squire and Snuffy was trying to get him out of the tree. He wound up falling to fall damage, so he was, so just let him have his nap. This, with 4 mammoths wasn't so bad, like, just literally bring a whole bunch of spear throwers to him and let the carnage ensue. It's like, let all the damage flow to him, and, thankfully they lay down pretty easily. Moving on to the next level though, I believe we come up to, yep, another meme level of catapults on roofs, where it's just, not so bad. Just literally let them have it. I just take a whole bunch of clubbers, I'm just like, just swarm them please, and, comes down to this one hanging off the roof, and a clubber just takes him out, nice and simply. So we got Final Destination Berserker. This one I figured we'll place a spear thrower on either side of him and let him just leap. He's got a tiny little head, which is kind of funny. Some of the units in this game have can have those weird little variations where you have like a small head, or they can be bigger than the rest. It's just kind of a funny little deal. Took a whole bunch of mammoths to some wheelbarrows here, and managed to take them out fairly easily with the help of Bone Mage, just a sure victory. Those two having a kiss there. Then we got a whole bunch of knights rolling out in here with, thankfully had enough for just a ton of spear throwers to get going on them. Even though they have shields, it's like they're outnumbered. That shield can't block everything. This guy, he was stuck. He managed to get out for a second, but then he got turned into a porcupine there. So this one was a whole bunch of hay balers hiding in the hay fields there. Kind of actually a clever level, if I have to say so. Pretty nice, and I believe I had some clovers for backup just in case. And but thankfully, old Snuffy here managed to get his thick butt through the gate, and there was one last one hiding kind of at the back there. I thought Snuffy was gonna send him flying off the map, but no, he just squished to the death there, that little guy. And then we come up on Final Destination Bone Mage. This one was actually a pretty close one, because, you know, two of the same unit here, I figured we'll try the Bone Mage. There's another variation, got a tiny head. He's, must have been what caused him to lose the battle. He comes down, and then this, basically, they bring him at the same time, but we actually managed to win this one with the, just barely. Really seeing the spikes up the butt there. Not too nice there. Whole bunch of squires tried using a bunch of spear throwers, but no, they actually didn't get the job done. Do the old bone mages, space them out, and just get them all good. I think most of them were gone, and there was one last one that was kind of laying down for a nap. Like he tried to sit up there for a second. Kind of amusing. And then we got a whole bunch of archers here, the snake archer, ice arrows, and I believe the regular ones. I just let them become raptor poop, to be honest. Like, after letting the clubman take some arrows first, so. These guys are very wily and all that. A lot of the raptors, to be honest. This one, I believe, was actually kind of a hard one. I tried using some stoners, which I think I wound up kind of sticking with. These guys kind of, you know, they're alright, not so bad, but just kind of was like, I don't rely on them. It's like, I would rather just kind of stick with spear throwers, to be honest. Wound up letting have Snuffy take over with some clovers to back him up. He thankfully managed to take them all down. And, well, I decided to see if there was like one more hiding over there. But there is actually, there's actually one unit that's still alive. He didn't manage to go down to the floor. And this Snuffy here on the right is actually the one who manages to get him down, then he just winds up breaking his legs or something like that. It's like, he could have just stayed up there if Snuffy didn't decide to knock him off. This one was the chieftain level. I wound up having to go with with a couple raptors. I turned out only needing one raptor because one decided to go sleep on the job here. You'll see him in a second. He's yeah, he's just having a nap there. Thankfully, didn't take it too hard. So then we had a whole bunch of spear throwers here taking on a pack of snuffies, and those little bastards are traitors to those snuffies. But thankfully just barely managed to get this done. Like that one spear thrower there, he managed to throw the last stick in. This one was actually a little bit of a pain in the butt. This one with the two snuffies and the wheelbarrows, they were... Because, like, you got a whole bunch of damage there. Not just from the wheelbarrows, but, like, the Mammoth overall is just a really tanky unit. I tried how many kind of configurations, but I wound up finding out that, this is where I found out where the Chieftain is actually a pretty good unit overall. He's got a decent amount of health, he got a decent amount of damage, he was, I was thinking, like, how the hell do I beat this? It's just, like, really it's just the Mammoths, causing the issues, and it just kind of wound up coming down to, having to space out the, Chieftains enough to where most of them didn't get flat out annihilated by the Mammoths and everything like that. He was just not so bad, and, it just kind of was, it just goes to show, if you give yourself enough time and to figure this out, like, you can usually be a level with it, like with what you're trying to accomplish. It just really takes, unit placement, and it can make the biggest difference here. And it's funny how tabs work sometimes. Thankfully, I believe these chieftains actually do the final blow to the Snuffy here, so there you go. Moving on to the next one, we got, I believe this was all the headbutt units, well, the launchers. No, this was like potion sellers and archers and everything like that. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. The has a bone mages and some raptors getting run in. This was the knight here actually wound up taking a couple chieftains and some clubbers. Like chieftains once again kind of proving how good they are actually as a unit, and I like that. They're a fairly cheap unit to use, and if you have a really big battles. So this was just all potion sellers. So we will basically just feed them to the raptors, let them have another snack. Why don't we? So. And who knew raptors could get drunk? Okay, yep, they definitely love that sack. This one was kind of a pain in the butt here with the one at a time, please. This is all the, I can't remember the unit's name from the Viking faction, but the one that leaps on you, and it's like, this can kind of took a little bit because just, like, you have the units dogpiling and all that. Basically, what I found really helps kind of keep them at bay is, like, you just gotta pretty much have a bunch of disposable units for them to leap on. Here we got Minotaurs. Minotaurs can be really problematic, but thankfully, like, this battle took a little bit to play out, so most of it's time-lapse here. It wound up coming down to like 1 or 2 spear throws left. These Minotaurs can be really tanky, and because they can be kind of wily with how fast they can leap around and everything like that, and how far they can do it, it's just like, this was kind of a nail-biter for me. I'm like, please don't. He managed to actually get taken out, so, well, he can go screw off to the afterlife for now, so. And the Jarl, this one, once again being another kind of pain in the butt, I believe I managed to take him out with chieftains and some clubbers, so thankfully nice and easy there. Valkyries are another kind of unit where I view they can be a real troublesome unit from the Viking faction, where it's like they seem to like using the element of surprise to their advantage. So the scarecrows are really not that big of a deal, so we just knock them all out. And then we come to the mountain tribe. This was another kind of battle here where we used it was kind of a long played out battle because there is one that just wound up, it did take a couple attempts, but I used mostly spear throwers. Pretty much it was like there was one chieftain sitting up there. I tried knocking him out with spears from down below because I noticed everyone else was going over to going up the mountain. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have this be kind of a little time lapse section and let them take care of it. Thankfully, these clowns have actually managed to figure out how to aim down and smack the chieftain out of the way, so thankfully easy pickings there, and it was only a matter of time. Then we have a bunch of wheelbarrows and all that. Pretty much had to, I was trying like snuffies and trying clubbers and all this, and the Valkyries were proving to be a bit of an issue, but managed to take him out with some sonars. The one time the sonars actually become useful, and but glad they at least proved you know they can do something. So then we got Final Destination Wheelbarrow here. This one was a pretty easy battle because they kind of self-destructed themselves, and the Bone Mages take them all out. Then we have the Royal Guard. This is just a bunch of kings, which I believe this was just pretty much all spear throwers. Again, like this would be this can be kind of a huge problem because of the kings having so much health, where it's kind of absurd sometimes. Then you got all the Viking boats here. I tried taking them on with Bone Mages again, so, but that didn't really work out too well. I believe this was kind of a, I don't remember if I used spear throwers or, I think this was actually a, I was kind of rearranging. Ah yes, this was like spear throwers and everything like, no, this was clubmen, right. I'm sorry guys, like kinda hard to remember all the details here, but it's like thankfully clubmen managed to kind of go and spank all the these paddlers here, so they can be surprisingly tough, those paddle ones there. Those paddle wobblers, we'll call them. Then we just claim the victory, and then we just move on to the next one. I believe this was a, yeah, Valkyrie Final Destination, so managed to just bait her with a clubman and then took her out with the chieftain. We move on to this one. This was kind of another boat level where these ships could be surprisingly tough, but wind up using Raptors, kind of puts them out in front to lure them, and then you get a nice little Raptor charge here for. Man, when these Raptors are ravenous enough and they're hungry enough, they really can just make a show out of these units sometimes. It's just comedy at this point. This one, I believe, was kind of a small pain because it had like 6 Minotaurs and a Mammoth, so it's kind of wound up, I think it only took like 2 strides for it. Spear throwers again just proving how good they are for dishing out damage. They were honestly the workhorse for me, and through this in the introduction campaign. Then we gotta take out another beefy boy with the Minotaur. I think this was mostly chieftains, so because I believe it's like almost 4 chieftains worth of values. So this one I can't remember what this one was. Oh right, this was like the just taking on the Vikings with like their Legion units, trying to be a pain in the booty as usual. So this one kind of took a while to get through, like and I think it was pretty much a whole bunch of clubbers with no, it was chieftains, clubbers, and mammoths. You kind of place them out in formation, trying to spread them out and have them clean up a bit. And the Valkyrie is what wound up taking out Snuffy, but managed to get the job done in the end. Then we wind up going to capsize. This one's kind of another meme level where they have the boater, the land ships sitting in the water. It took a little bit, but just had a whole bunch of Snuffy going through and causing his little rampage, kind of luring them down the other side. Then you had the Jarl here. He was kind of really the big road stop here. He managed to at least take out Snuffy, but the spear throwers down here managed to actually run over the we'll just take out the Earl. Thankfully, he was already through his invulnerability state. I believe there is the leaping guys, the jumping jackasses, we'll call them. They were thankfully they just got overwhelmed by spears at this point. Just kind of satisfying when you can take out a level though against the Jarl and just kind of make a mockery of him. It's just kind of one of those, like, this game is kind of a knowledge is power, I would say. So, victory there, and then we move on to Final Destination Catapult. For some odd reason, the Catapult had a homing projectile there, even though you shouldn't make that shot. Spirit Throwers took him out. Now, this pain of a level was heavy hitters. The real big pain was because of two Zeuses, really. I tried how many configurations I was going through. I was like, how the hell am I supposed to beat this damn level? Because, like, I only really have, like, pretty much just cheap units and everything like that. And Zeus would just wind up taking out all of the faction units. Like, we'll take out all the units with their lightning bolts. He was honestly just a big pain where I was like, you are just the most annoying thing being in the back there. And it wound up, I was kind of, like, you can see I was really trying. I was even pulling out the Raptor Riders for this, and it's like I tried regular Raptors and everything like that. I was just kind of like, just, is there any way to break my way through this? And now I'm gonna say, and I know, like, this is the ironic part about the name of the game, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Is not Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, in fact. So, at the end of that little time lapse there, you saw, like, I tried Raptor Riders before, which kind of failed. You can, in certain situations where you think it's close enough, you can actually play a battle and lose. But if you run it back immediately, just with the same positions and everything, like same formation, so you can sometimes win. So that's one of those very few cases there. Then, more Zeuses again, I'm like, screw it. We'll just run the Raptor Riders back. We'll give them a victory lap here, see if they can do it. And they actually managed to do it successfully. Pretty nice unit. I don't usually use them too much, because they're not, like, because I usually just kind of think of the regular Raptors when I think of them. The king here, he took a little bit of trying, but this was another chieftain level where he just shows his dominance with those stone axes, baby. They are surprisingly sharp. One of those don't mess with the chieftain, unsurprisingly enough. And then we kind of move on to another kind of troublesome level here. This was the odds against you level. Basically, you have to take on 2 squires, and in this case, I only could use a clubman. Technically, you can make it a one-on-one fight with halflings. Like, some people probably argue, like, oh no, you only still have 1 unit because just 2 halflings make 1 holding. Blah blah blah. But no, it's like this was basically kind of an RNG match. Thankfully, though, I managed to take him out with possessing the clover and actually, smacking him around. So I'm just glad that that headache is over. And I believe we have another kind of troublesome one. We've got a whole bunch of mammoths here. They managed to take out all my spear throwers, and I tried raptors to. They couldn't get the job done. I believe I had some raptors up front for my solution to this, and then spear throwers in the back, and I tried like a back line. Then I was like, let's try splitting up the back line to kind of, see if we can focus down more mammoths in another area. Which, actually, it did come down to that. It was pretty nice. Another example of, try to reposition your units if you're trying to do a challenge like this. It can work. So, then we get through here, and now we move on to Final Destination Mammoth, which is the last level of the the adventure campaign. And so, thankfully, it wasn't so bad. We managed to get the spear throwers going and everything like that. Take him out and take Snuffy out, and so now this is only part 1. Like I said, it took me almost 3 hours to get through this, and I'm gonna close part 1 here. So we'll be taking on hopefully the challenge and most of the faction campaigns in the next one. So if you made it this far and you like what you see, do please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below, turn on notifications so you don't miss a video from me. And well, we shall see you in the next part of this little challenge. Have a great day.